Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I wanted to share something with you. You guys know that there's an interesting controversy surrounding Russell Simmons, and I saw that Mark Lamont Hill, another guy that I know Russell and Mark pretty well, and Mark mentioned that if he'd known Russell was coming on a show with him last week, I think the show's called Drink Champs, he would have declined to participate, things like that. And that's his right, and I'm not here to question that or judge that. But what I am here to really get you to think about and ask you to at least have an open mind and consider this is I need you to kind of process the ongoing assault on the black man in terms of how it's so easy to destroy the reputation of a black man. One of the things that bothers me is that if you just accuse a black man of something, especially if it's a powerful black man, if it's a black man that's actually accomplished something, people will just believe you just because you said it. And I think that it's interesting to kind of observe this, in the case with Russell Simmons, because, he's basically had, I think, 3 accusers from 30 years ago. I think 25, 30 years ago, so a very long time ago. And everyone's just sort of believed it like it's true, right? And I stepped in on this because I happen to know one of the accusers, and I happen to know for sure that there were some issues and concerns that even I had when I remember meeting her before even knowing about any of this. And black journalists have actually written about some of this. And what happens is media doesn't cover that. They didn't talk about it at all. And I just think that's wrong. I think that if the goal is to be fair and the goal is to truly figure out what really happened, you have to have a higher standard. Because right now the standard is if anybody says something about a black man, there are people that are just going to believe it's true. But if that black man were to say something about, say, a white woman or anybody else, people would say, well, you need proof, you need evidence. Well, I think the same standard that a black man would need to meet to make an accusation against a white woman should be the same standard that a white woman or any woman, any man, anybody would have to meet in order to accuse a black man. So that's why I'm taking a stand on this issue, because I really just want to make sure that we're fair. And also, I want you to ask yourself this question. Why is it so easy for the public to embrace a negative statement about a black man, but very difficult for them to embrace a positive statement about that same black man? Meaning that if I'm going to, act on one person's accusation or 2 people or whatever, right, against somebody with no proof, no evidence, no nothing, right, from many, many years ago, then what about all the people that, have positive things to say about this person? Like, are we going to listen to the positive as well as the negative, or are we just listening to the negative and ignoring the positive, right? So I wanted to read something that I got. There was a black woman who sent me an anonymous message about her interaction with Russell Simmons. Now, does this vindicate him? No. But there are people that might come back and say, well, just because somebody says something good doesn't mean he can't be a rapist. Yeah, but when you're making a serious accusation about rape, the burden of proof is on you. The burden of proof is on the accuser, because you're not the one that is going to have to spend time in prison. You're not the one that's going to be taken away from your family. You're not the one who might go to prison and be raped yourself. So the burden of proof is on the accuser. So you can't say, I'm going to assume you did something. Like, I can't look at a person and say, I think that this person is molesting kids, right, or whatever, and then somebody says, well, what, but no, that person, he's in my church, he's a good guy, we've never heard anything like that. And I might say, well, just because he appears to be a good guy don't mean he ain't no child molester, right? Yeah, he could be, but that's very different from saying that he definitely is, or that he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think that we need some ration and logic and reason in our society to kind of balance some of the illogical energy where people are just wanting to get on a bandwagon. I'm not a fan of that. So let me read this letter to you, and then I'm gonna get on out of here. It says, "Hello, sir. Hopefully you're well. I wanted to let you know that I knew Russell personally. In the beginning of the year that I made my first million with my company, I was called nearly daily to be an extra on TV shows and film in Los Angeles. It's important to note that I was one of the few who wasn't seeking money to be an actress to make money. I had plenty of money, but also plenty of free time. The extras know each other. There are the top hundreds, and we had plenty of time while waiting to secretly talk. Russell could have had his way with women, but did not force anyone, and literally wouldn't have had the chance to. People threw themselves onto him constantly, and I know that's true. I've been to Hollywood. I mean, I'm not a Russell Simmons, and even I had women, pretty women, like, because what happens is people that want to be successful, that want to get to the top, they want to be close to the men or the women or anybody that they think can give them that opportunity. So I guess because I was making a movie in LA, there were people that said, "Oh, this is the guy that can get me my fame or my fortune or whatever," and it's a real interesting dynamic. It's just me telling you guys the truth. It's very interesting to watch. So she says people threw themselves onto him constantly. Everyone spoke of this, and everyone agreed. So she's not just speaking for herself. She's speaking for it. She says a lot of people felt this way. Everyone agreed that he wasn't forceful. When I didn't throw myself at Russell during an event, he was highly intrigued. It was 1996. He'd invited me to places, but was the opposite of forceful. He was bashful, timid, introverted, spiritually advanced, etc. These accusations are disgusting lies. I can personally say that I know that they're lies. I hope that you do tell him this. It's not fair. Now, do I know, was I there in 96, to even confirm that this person knew Russell the way she says? No. But none of us were there, right? And that's the key idea. None of us were there. So none of us were there. None of us know anything about any of the stuff going on in the 90s with Russell or any of the women, right? And so I think that the idea, right? So for when people say, well, Boyce, you don't know, I'm here to kind of say the same thing. You don't know either, right? And so it's one thing if you're talking about scenarios that, where it's much more clear cut, where you see things happening right now and you report things as they're occurring. It's another thing when you go back in time 30 years and say this happened in 1992 or this happened in 1995. It doesn't mean that people can't empathize with that, but it does ask that question. What is the burden of proof? What is the standard? Do you have a standard? Is there no standard when it comes to the execution of a black man or the destruction of a black man's reputation? Perhaps there is no standard. I mean, if that's the case, then it's consistent with American history. America never had to have an excuse to persecute, execute, and destroy a black man. All they had to do was accuse him of something, and next thing you know, he's hanging from a tree, right? So, we have to really realize we haven't, as a country, divorced ourselves from that history. There is no other group of people. There's no other group of people. There's no other group of people for whom I can go and grab a random person in that category, accuse them of a crime, and maybe get 2 or 3 other people to agree with me and get that person sent to prison. There's nothing I can do with a white woman where I could go and accuse a white woman of some terrible crime and get her sent to prison for 50 years just based on my word and then say it happened 25 years ago and there's no proof. You tell me, give me an example. Give me an example of when a group of black men got together, accused a white woman of a crime, and sent that white woman to prison for 50 years. Remember, these are specific punishments designed specifically for the destruction of the black male. It doesn't exist for anybody else. If you think I'm wrong, then prove me wrong. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. So anyway, I wanted to read this letter because I think that if we're gonna hear the bad, we need to also hear the good. You see, because sometimes you can create, in statistics, they call this selection bias. Selection bias is when you show your bias by selecting and cherry picking the stories that you want to tell. You don't tell all the stories. You're telling some of the stories, right? So if I pick any person and I cherry pick and I pick the worst stories to tell about that person, I can make them look like a devil. If I pick the best stories to tell about that person, I can make them look like an angel. And so this is what I think is happening when you have these sort of public lynchings, if you will, of somebody's reputation, where you find, 2, 3, 4 people that don't like that person. So anyway, that's my thought. This is for open-minded, intelligent black people. It's not for anybody else. If you're not intelligent, this conversation will probably fly over your head and maybe it will piss you off, because that's just kind of what happens when we go deep on some shit. So anyway, I'm gonna go, guys. Have a good day. And some of you asked me about this shirt. You know, we have some cool shirts at wokeblacktees.com. WOKE. That's wokeblacktees.com. Feel free to check that out. And don't forget, on the 25th, you know, we're doing Black Movie Night. Hashtag Black Movie Night is where we're trying to build a black-owned movie industry where we can build our own entertainment community, make our own movie stars, support our own black filmmakers, etc. So Black Movie Night is free. It's going to happen on the 25th. You can go to blackmovienight.net to register. You got to RSVP because it's going to fill up. So go to blackmovienight.net. You can watch from the comfort of your own home. So I'll see you soon. Have a good day, everybody. Love you. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr Boyce TV. Here we are.